My name is Ambra. I'm the marketing manager for Fedrigoni Special Papers here in the UK. And I'm joined with Danny from TM, with whom we've been collaborating with for more than 8 years, really, on Fedrigoni 365 and lots of other projects. And today we'll be giving you an overview about the history of Fedrigoni 365, some initial idea concepts of this year's, and then we'll hear from some of our print partners about how they contributed to this year. And then for the very first time, we'll have a PechaKucha style presentations from a few participants from this year. It's all very new. We've never done it before. So thank you so much for your patience. And if we have any hiccups, thank you in advance. And yeah, without further ado, we'll...
I just need to check how we're steering this. I'm scrolling down.
Yes.
There we go.
Other down.
Other down.
There you go.
We've really messed this one up this year. Sorry, everyone. So yeah, I'm Danny from TM. I'm the M of TM, which is for McNeil, and my business partner Johnny is Sevdos, which is a T apparently, but it's Greek, so that can be a bit confusing. And so yeah, over the last 8 years, we've been working with Fedrigoni on this great project, and I'm just going to take you through the history of it, how we got to this point today, and all the other versions that we've worked through. I'm going the wrong way again. So in 2017, we got the brief from Fedrigoni to design the annual calendar. And it's something they'd been doing for years before. I used to receive these in the post, which were always designed by...
Or by a paper consultant that would hand over this
to you.
Maybe,
sometimes, yeah. But they were beautiful objects. But for us, in terms of functionality, we were all on our phones even 8 years ago. We weren't using desk diaries and calendars. So even though the investment of money and time that had gone into them, at the end of the year, they were sort of redundant to us. They ended up in the recycling bin. I'm not allowed to say that, but I am going to say it. We didn't just chuck it, we recycled it, but it's fine. So yeah, despite the fact that, we had these objects, they weren't really serving a purpose to us. So our question was really, who needs a calendar, and can we repurpose it? Can we do something else with it? So we set about thinking about a different brief, something that we could go back to Fedrigoni with that hopefully would be more engaging to the designers that received it. And 365 creatives all now contribute a design to the project, and that was really the change for us. It was all about turning it into a book that would be a compendium of design of the year rather than a calendar. As you all know, because you've probably been involved in it in some way, you're given a date and you interpret that alongside a word sometimes, or other elements that we bring into it.
And also, pause longevity wise as well, the desk calendar, for our paper consultants, they have December, maybe January to give it out. Whereas we found that with Fedrigoni 365, any time is a good time, even past editions, not just the current one. So it's become a collectible of it seems redundant to call it a calendar. It's more of a coffee table book almost. So yeah.
That's it. So the first edition, we had the idea of just involving as many designers as possible. So it was really a challenge for us to find that many designers, which was the kind of first problem we had to solve. And then beyond that, it was how do we frame all this work in a way that's sort of suitable, that kind of allows designers to be who they are as designers and do what they like, but bind it together in a way that kind of gives it an overarching look and feel. So it's very reductive. It's all black stock, a mix of ultra black and Sirio black, silver foils to the cover, and inside, sorry, there's another cover shot, inside just one color silver, which we've kind of run with ever since, for lots of reasons, but mainly because it just reduces everything down to that kind of singular vision for the book. And we were incredibly fortunate. We had 365 designers that wanted to be part of it, even though they didn't know this project, from any other project. It was completely new that year. And we got people involved like Pentagram, amongst other designers. So it was a really great sort of moment to sort of involve so many interesting designers from the big ones to the small ones.
And obviously they didn't really know what they were signing up to. They were just asked to design something for free. But we're very grateful for the first 365 that took a leap of faith. And then in the end, I think the great thing about Fedrigoni 365 is that, yes, you have a brief and something that you have to interpret, but at the end of the day, you have full control of what your design is, as long as it's not offending anyone. We have had a few questionable designs, maybe a few naughty ones, but in general we accept any design. So it's really a way for the participants to be as creative as they want and to do a work for themselves as opposed to necessarily for a client.
And then Fedrigoni offered us the opportunity to have a launch party for it, and that sort of combined with their sort of Christmas party as well. So we painstakingly hung 365 sheets of paper in the protein gallery, which was a kind of problem that we gave ourselves that we never quite now got out of, because we do that every year.
It's been a learning curve.
It's been a learning curve. This was a year that involved lots of spray mount, and actually on the night, people that were running around with spray mount sticking things back up to the wall. So
yeah,
we've learned the hard way on this over the years. And then 2019,
obviously we did a black book. So what are you going to do after? You're going to do a white book. So we took 10 different white papers from the Fedrigoni 365 collection. And the amazing thing about white papers is that for anyone that's ever had to spec a book, is that white paper isn't just white paper. You have some more ivory hue, something a bit more blue. And you can really see it in the cross section here. And so we tried to play with different textures and everything, and it was really exciting. Design wise, we wanted to do something different again. So instead of having two designs per spread, we had one design per spread. Turns out this makes the book twice as heavy and twice as difficult to deliver. Unfortunately, our paper consultants did not like us this year. So we didn't repeat that mistake again, but it really gave the paper and the design a nice surface to really be presented, and each page had its own special moment. Again, we printed in silver. This year it was a gunmetal silver. This was the invite for the event, which was the same thickness as the spine of the book. So you can see it was chunky enough to write a lot of information on. Every year we've put the names of the contributors on the cover of the book, and so this is reflected here in the invite, and then it had this nice embossing or debossing as well, which was really lovely. And again, we went to Protein Gallery, super busy, did the same mistake and spray painted or spray glued the designs on the wall, but really successful again. And then after you do a black edition and you do a white edition, you do a colorful edition.
So yeah, 2020 was multicolored version of the book. We used the range Woodstock, which is 16 different colors, and we wanted to show all of those colors. So we also had another problem this year where we named the project 365 and then realized that in a leap year we have a different number of days. So had to find a way of solving that. So simply changed to 366 for that year and last year. But we wanted to show the breadth of colors that Woodstock has. So we worked with, a page plan and worked out exactly how we could make the calendar full, so we could include all of the colors in a really nice way that sort of showcase them, as you see here. We also, Woodstock's quite a light paper. It doesn't, as Ambra tells me, it goes up to 350 grams now, but it didn't
at the time.
So we came up with a cover that kind of wraps back on itself and creates sort of a bit more bulk, so it has a bit more of a feeling of a sort of stronger cover, which you can see a bit of detail there. We worked with lithographic print on this. We worked with some white lithographic print that we'd never used or knew about before, actually. And because it was a leap year, we have a tip-in that was designed by Super Mundane, which was foiled and stuck into the sort of head of one of the signatures. So always thinking about ways that we can actually mechanically make these things happen, and little details like changing the colors of the thread on the binding press. And again, we're back at Protein. This time we had podiums to display the work. We tried to solve a problem by just showing the running sheets rather than sticking up 365 pages as well, which made our life slightly easier on the day.
And then 2021, so it might seem obvious, but the 2021 edition would have been designed in 2020, and we all know what happened in 2020. And we did and I think at one point we're like, oh, do we still do it? Like, we've done 3, is this the time that gives us a natural break? But we thought that actually it was the perfect time to involve as many people in the design community that we could, especially since a lot of people were going through a tough time with furlough and not a lot of work happening. So we worked with a digital print manufacturer called Ricoh, and they make printers, but they helped create a software and algorithm to be able to print digitally involving as many people as possible. I think overall we had almost 900 people, and every single book that we made, we printed 4,000 copies that year, and every single copy was completely unique. To be honest, we could do a presentation just on all the technical information that went on behind here, but it was normally if you did a design, you would design, for example, February 14th. You can say, oh, that's Valentine's Day, or it was the battle of this or the history of this. Whereas for this edition, you designed a singular number. So you would design the number 14, and then that number could be used anywhere in the calendar. It could be used in February, but it could be used in December, it could be used in June, or it could not be used at all. And this algorithm made sure that you were in each calendar the right number, the same number of times, and the same different colors. There were 10 different color palettes. Here you can see an example. So this is March 23rd and 24th in various different books. Every single edition was unique. Even the jacket was printed on GSK, which is a translucent paper. It had the name of all the participants. Those that were in the actual edition that you were holding were in full white, whereas the other participants' names that weren't inside were a bit more muted. The cover was different gradients that took different sections of the gradient so that every single one was different. And we had each one was numbered 1 to 4,000. Yeah, it was nuts. And distribution wise, it was also awful. The paper consultants hated us again, because whereas with the litho edition, you definitely know you're going to be in it. You take a random one, you give it to someone. With this one, you obviously are going to give an edition with the designer wants their design in the actual edition that they're holding. So
but it was a brilliant idea and a brilliant book, despite the distribution issues.
We didn't quite think of it that year, but it was great. It was also maybe a blessing that it was still COVID was a bit of a difficult time and we didn't have to do an event, because trying to find a venue that would hold 1,000 people might have been a bit tricky, but it would have been awesome. But hey ho, maybe next time.
But I think this was the first year where the print partner really engaged with the job, and Rico gave us so much in terms of production support, effectively writing software to lay this book out for us, which, yeah, we weren't expecting, but actually that's how they had to do it to make it happen at all, which was amazing. And yeah, all the levels of detail we had to go to produce it and work with their machines were just, yeah, it was incredible, the amount of support they gave us. In the wrong way again. Just to say, yeah, here you've got different gradient meshes that overlay on each other, and the particular machine that we printed with Rico has neon colors. So we picked a particular range of colors that really utilized that and made the most of it. So hence why we ended up with these. And these are 2 meshes overlaid. So every cover was completely different based on that system. I'm going to go the right way now. Yeah, and I think that kind of idea about the production partner being a really key part of the project started to build and build and build over the years, and particularly in 2022. Where am I going?
This way, so people can see you.
Okay, good. So in 2022, we worked really closely with Diamond, who are the print finisher. They do binding effectively, and we produced this box that then held within it, 4 different books that have different binding styles. And this is a kind of educational piece in many ways. So 4 different complete binding styles here. We've got an open bound spine on the top left with some gilt edge foiling to the pages. Then we have a Swiss bound book with cloth to the spine and kind of false cover that wraps it. A case bound book, which is covers cut flush. So it's got really sort of sharp architectural look. And an otter bound book, which was printed digitally and had digital edge printing as well that matched the color of the Materica on the cover. So yeah, for us, this was about doing something different with binding and kind of moving that conversation on a bit in terms of what the project did.
And collaborating not just with designers, but also with printers, which we hadn't done before.
And there's another launch party, me looking rather lonely, and then me.
It was also the same day that it was a tube strike. I think, well, COVID was still finishing. And there was something else, like it was freezing cold, or I don't know, but it was a lot of different elements, but thankfully people showed up and we were very grateful. So then 2023 was the first year that we actually introduced a theme. That theme was love. We thought it was a message that everyone can relate to, whether that be in friendship or romantically or other ways which were represented in the calendar. We had a wrap using Imitlin, which actually was used again in the 2025 edition. And the book was printed on various different red, pink, and papers. the front, the back, and the spine were all randomly chosen by the printer. We told them just mix and match. So again, to try and play around with every copy being not exactly unique, but as this was printed litho, but to play around with not knowing what you'll get, a bit of a pick and mix. So here you can see all the different papers, and it just shows how much variety there is. If you say, I want a red paper, what is a red paper? It can be coated, uncoated, pearlescent, textured. There's just so much that you could choose from. And it was really interesting to see how you can have, for the divided pages, we had this full silver page, and the text was the paper coming through. And it was really a really lovely addition. And like I said, it was the first time that the designers had to work with a theme. So they had their date, and then they incorporated love or a heart or something around with it. And then we had the event in Hoxton Arches near Shoreditch, which went also very nice. We told people to wear red if they could, red or pink or something. Some people did. It was kind of cute. There you go. You can see sparks of pinks and reds.
And then sort of looking at the digital print picture again, we sort of started speaking with HP Indigo for 2024, and sort of wanted to do another digital book that could involve as many designers as possible, which obviously digital allows flexibility in that way. We're not committed to plate and lithographic print. And this was, again, about trying to find a way of creating a very unique book in a way of sort of uniquely working with the technology they have. The sort of color gamut that you can print on an Indigo machine, they have these extra inks, the Indichrome orange, violet and green, which allow you to extend that range of colors. And so we're really interested in sort of exploring those colors as well. So we ended up with this look for the book, and we have these panels of color that are from the Indichrome range, or sort of have Indichrome in them. And the idea was we also use Mosaic, which is a proprietary software that HP have that allows us to cycle through colors on the fly with a color shuffle feature. So do we have that sheet here? Yeah. Every design in the book had a palette of 10 colors that were assigned to it, and then they were randomly shuffled through. So you can see here on this spread for April, this is opened at the same page in every book, but in fact, every version of this looks different in some way by interpreting the colors in a different way using the software. And the jacket on every book has the designer's contribution in different variations, through the same system of color shuffle.
Because obviously it can be quite complicated to try and explain it. And if you only receive one book, you only know what design you're holding. So the jacket is a nice way to kind of demonstrate how the color shuffling works. And there were two different versions of the book. There was people that worked with a green palette, people that worked with an orange palette, and that green and orange was taken from the Indichrome. And they could choose, we recommended, I think, at least 3 or 4 colors in their design, but then those colors would all move around, and that resulted in 2 billion unique designs across 3,000 books, essentially making, again, every single copy completely unique.
And then that brings us to this year's book. I think for us, the sort of idea of inclusion and getting people involved in the project as much as possible is really, really important. So we wanted to find a way of doing that. So by splitting the book in half, that was a way we could make that happen. So we've got 2 designers working on every day effectively.
Without making it twice as heavy.
Without making it twice as heavy.
Made that
let's
mistake before.
avoid that. With a light book and a dark book, and then a beautiful slipcase that Showcase had put together for us. And just a sort of bit of sort of thinking around how we came up with the idea and where we've been with it. Like, we started off looking at different types of format for it. We had a Z-fold format, which is the top left, where we had half the book would be the sort of first half of the year, and the second half on the darker stock in the second half of the year. And had conversation with binders, thinking about if this is even possible. And in the end, for lots of reasons, we resolved that probably wasn't the way to go. I think having multiple 4 designs on a spread, as you can see bottom left, isn't as pleasing as having 1 to a page and 1 to 2 to a spread. And then we started thinking about different arrangements and layouts for the type, and the fact that actually 365 is quite a powerful mark, and that's quite well recognized. So maybe not cluttering it with words and other things was the way we wanted to take it.
I think the theme of opposites came from wanting to address diversity, and also with everything that's happening in the world with differing opinions and yeah, kind of synergetically trying to bring the community together and seeing also how people can work with each other. When we sent out the briefs, we did tell people what their opposite was, just because, for example, we thought, okay, if you say right, that could be right or wrong, or it could be right or left. So we were nice and we did give people what the other word was so that they could put it into context. But
there was, no one knew what the other person was going to design. I think that's what's really lovely about if you have a look around the exhibition afterwards and you can lift up each design and see what the opposite design was, or look at the reverse of the board, because there are some really nice things that happen. There's a dialogue that's created that no one knew was going to happen, which has been really fascinating to look at as a result. But anyway, we sort of went on press at Pressision to see all the foiling work they were doing and to see the lithographic work. Seen some of this amazing machinery, that some of it's particularly old and some of it's much newer, but yeah, it's fascinating to kind of get involved and see it all happening live. And we also went down to Showcase in Surrey. Some top secret imagery here around how they make their boxes, which I can't really talk about too much, trade secrets. But yeah, it's like a treasure trove there of lots of amazing stuff happening around us. Every box is handmade to some degree. Some parts are mechanized, but as you can see here, a lot of it's hand finished. V-fold, this incredibly sharp, crisp edges to the work they've done, and the boxes and the way they're produced, which is been such a lovely thing to sort of see come to life. And then this is the resulting project. The sleeve itself has opposing colors to it as well. So where you see the bright yellow top left, there's a light pink that works in contrast to that, and the light pink one is lined in yellow, and the dark pink one is aligned in the light pink.
And we tried to match the foils, which are kindly donated by Foil Co, to the paper that was on the inside. So the range is called Imitlin. We recently revamped it, so we're really keen on using it because we've introduced some really vibrant and trending colors. And I think actually matching it with the foil inside is just a really nice touch that you don't discover until you take the books out.
We also, so opposites obviously is what we keep trying to reinforce throughout this book. So on the white book we have an emboss, and on the dark book we have a deboss that you can just about make out here, but have a look in the flesh.
And then on the names of the participants are on the slipcase, whereas on the books are the seed words that they were giving, so the opposite of the opposite word, so left, right, hot, cold.
And then I think for me what's been really interesting, we didn't really do this. We sort of let the designs happen and then we put them into the artwork, and we didn't really compare what was happening in the light book to the dark book. But once we had it in our hands in the last few weeks, we've sort of been picking our way through. And I think there's some amazing stuff that's happened, like January 6th, optimistic and pessimistic version, funnily enough, did the same exact, had the same idea and kind of went with a very similar approach to how to sort of realize that, which I found to be really, really cool. And then there's other things that have happened, like, unveiled and veiled here, which, could be interchanged, I think, in terms of the two designs. There's something really nice about the way those two speak together, as do reality and illusion here on the left, the sort of linear patterns with things being revealed from within. Ordinary and magic, where I think the person who did ordinary read that the opposite was magic and sort of incorporated a degree of magic into what they're doing here with the cards.
That's great.
All right. And then last couple of things to say about it. I mean, I think the power of the project is that everyone that takes part becomes an advocate for the project, gets to work with Fedrigoni paper, which they may not have done before. And so, I think the passion is shared by all of the people that take part. And this is a grab of, if you do a search for hashtag Fedrigoni365 on Instagram, these are some of the recent images that come up. And it's just so nice that this kind of marketing for this piece just kind of lives organically and shapes itself, and kind of that's we wouldn't want to change that. We like the way it kind of goes out into the world and is uncontrolled beyond what happens when we design it.
Absolutely. And we do sell a portion of these online as well as on our launches. So it's nice. It's not just people that have participated, but obviously people from all over the world get to buy it. It's sold through Counterprint. And every year we choose a different charity to support. So to date, we've raised £35,000, and this year's charity is the Alzheimer's Society. So if you did want to purchase a copy of the book, then we have them here today. We also made some tote bags, very new edition. So you can buy it as a combo. And yeah, it's such an amazing project. Thank you so much, Danny, and all the print partners that help us put this together every year. It obviously wouldn't happen without you guys, without print partners, and most importantly, without the participants. And yeah, it's amazing. I've love it. And we now have our fast print partner, Pressision. They are based in Leeds and they printed the book. And so if I can get Freya and James to the stage.
You might have to tell them then. That's going to work.
So we have to do this.
So up like that. Perfect.
Hello, I'm James, and this is Freya. We're from Precision Creative Print and Packaging. We specialise in high quality creative print and packaging, focusing on creativity and precision. And our mission is to push the boundaries, combining our print expertise with our clients' visions to make beautiful printed projects.
I really haven't got the hang of that, but so obviously on a regular day-to-day basis, we collaborate with designers and agencies and brands, and we offer specialist techniques like foiling and embossing and color profiling to elevate your kind of projects. We also offer stochastic printing, which, as far as we're aware, we're the only printer in the UK that offers that, which is a higher res than your regular litho printing.
So obviously you've seen quite a detailed overview of this year's project. It's an annual celebration of creativity in print, and it brings together designers and premium materials. This 2025 edition comprises of two versions, a light version on light off-white materials and a dark version on grey black papers. All the papers were printed with a Pantone silver ink.
So this year we were asked by Fedrigoni to print along with Diamond Print Services for the binding and Showcase Creative for the slipcase manufacturing. And we've created a book that not only celebrates design, but it also showcases the versatility of Fedrigoni's beautiful papers.
So our role was sort of central to the production, printing on 28 different papers. It required meticulous attention to detail by our team to ensure sort of uniformity of the silver ink across all the different surfaces and paper types. Each paper sort of presented unique challenges in varying levels of ink required, the way the ink was absorbed on the different papers, dot gain, and then the surface texture. So it seems quite simple just to print silver on all the papers. It wasn't as simple as that, yeah.
So as James mentioned, obviously we had to overcome some challenges, and we were also having to obviously handle the foils for the slipcase with precision, no pun intended. And there was 8 foils to kind of work with across 8 different texture papers, which obviously we had to get with perfect alignment. We like to think that we are masters in foiling here at Precision, and I hope you guys think so as well when you see the product.
So yeah, key achievements. Obviously, it showcases what's possible when expertise, collaboration, and premium materials align. We delivered a product that highlights the capabilities of both our team, the collaborators we collaborated with, and Fedrigoni Papers. And this project hopefully reinforces our reputation as a creative print and luxury packaging specialist. And it was an honour to contribute to a project that's celebrated so well by the design community.
And that's short and sweet. We are going to be here today and tonight at this table. If you have any questions, you can come find us and ask. We'd love it if you could show us some love by following us on our socials. We're also going to be launching a website soon, which you'll be able to request one of our beautiful brochures or a sample of our luxury packaging as well.
Thank you so much. I think, well, thank you also for letting us come to your space. Like Danny said earlier, we went to Leeds, and I love being on press, so you can see all the different. I think people don't quite appreciate how much is still done by hand, like we said before, even the packaging and everything, and just seeing it all coming together was really amazing. The next part of our lovely book encompasses a lovely slipcase. So we've got Jack from Showcase telling us a few words. Thank you, Jack.
Excellent. Hi, so I'm Jack from Showcase Creative. I'm here with Marion, who's about somewhere, who I'm sure a lot of you people kind of already know. I'm going to give you a bit of a history of Showcase, what we do, and kind of our involvement in the 365 project. Thank you very much. Got a lot less information on our slides, so sorry about that. So the company was started in 2006 by my brother and our friend Andy. They started off as a graphic design company, but they kind of quickly realized that they were making a lot more margin on marking up on outsourced print than they kind of thought they would be. Quite a lot of that was on presentation folders, so your like oversized A4 folder with a pocket on the right hand side. But they were finding that a lot of the suppliers were kind of litho suppliers that were like 1,000+, like quite long runs, when all their customers wanted like a couple of hundred. So they were like, maybe there's something in this. We'll start doing kind of short runs, trying to figure out a way to do it kind of digitally. Maybe the next one. Yeah, well, maybe a bit early, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So by the time I joined, end of 2007, we were working in my parents' back office. We called it the dungeon. And we'd set up a website, folderprinting.co.uk, which is still going. And they built a die cutter out of metal and wood, which was kind of like a mangle that you'd put an SRA3 sheet in one side, wind it through, and you'd have die cut pockets on the other side. And then we'd glue those to a cover, and you had a presentation folder. So for a while, like, business was quite buoyant. There weren't a lot of people doing that, and we were taking it in turns, making pockets, answering calls, doing the artwork, sending it to print, making up the folders, doing all of that. And it kind of gradually grew. And over the next year or so, we we moved out, got our own warehouse, and started accumulating machinery. So we had a digital press, we had a Heidelberg windmill die cutter, we had a Duplo, and we had a laminator. So we were kind of making presentation folders. What we kind of realized when we were doing that was that a lot of people searching for short run folders were actually looking for short run ring binders. So we thought, we'll have a piece of that. So we thought, we'll figure out a way of doing that in short runs. In order to do that, you needed a much larger sheet size. So what we were doing was we're printing SRA3 sheets, splicing them together, laminating over the top, so it looked like one long sheet. No one was any of the wiser. So then we'd wrap that overboard, and then we'd repurposed our mangle so it could do a heavy crease in there as well. So that was back out in the warehouse making binders. So we continued making binders for a bit, and it wasn't long before someone said, well, can you do a slipcase to go with the binder? And we said, well, we'll give that a go. We work with the right materials, but it's kind of quite different processes. So we started making slipcases. We're still making them to this day. But then again, it wasn't long before one of our customers needed a presentation box made, and they said, well, you make slipcases, can you make a box for us? And we went, well, we'll give that a go as well. We've still got the box in the office after 10, 12 years after we made it. It's still there. And it was a real kind of, it was like a real turning point for us, because we realized it's something that we're really passionate about. We were really, really good at it. And kind of, we started to invest in machinery and staff to help us kind of grow this side of the business. And it's what we really focus on now, is the presentation box side of things. So we've been investing in kind of new gluers, like more gluers, CAD cutters. So we've got 3 CAD cutters now, 2 of which are Zens. We've got automated box wrapping kit as well, so that we can do longer runs of kind of more simple boxes. We specialize in the shorter runs of things like this, the really high quality short run moving parts like lights. You'll see we've got some to look at. We've got like light up boxes, all that kind of gubbins. So we specialize in that. But I think what's been quite key for us has been the investment in staff, because it's not easy to do this kind of thing. You can't just pick it up and do it. So we've really invested in staff. We've got people that have got packaging background, people who haven't that we've trained up, people from all around the world. So we've got people from the UK, we've got India, we've got Ukraine, we've got Spain, like just to name a handful. We've got loads of people from all around helping out. But they're kind of really key. They're really keen. They're very competent and they're really passionate as well. So I don't know what the next picture is, but anyway, so where are we? Bear with me.
And everything made in the UK.
Yes, I've got that in here somewhere. So we've currently got about 30 members of staff, as I say, from all around the world, and it's kind of come full circle now that if you do deal with us, you might actually speak to my parents, because my mum does our credit control now. My dad, to keep him out of trouble, semi-retired, he does our deliveries for us. So it's kind of come full circle in that way. So that's kind of showcase. As I say, all made in the UK. Now on the kind of 365 project, I've got a bit about that as well. We didn't have as much involvement in the design and the picking of the papers and doing the print as much as everyone else, but we're really, really kind of proud to be part of the project. It's such a prestigious thing. I thought part of my what I was going to say was that we've got one of every copy of 365 on our shelf in the office, but after looking at that, I know we're missing a couple now, so I'm going to be hunting those down. But yeah, we got in the process going up to see Pressision, which was really, really good. Really loved it up there. Such good bits of kit and like using it really, really well. Got to see a sneak peek of a lot of the designs and things. So it's really, really good to see like so many talented people coming together for this project. The kind of our involvement was making the slipcase. I think it's the first time that this has been done, a paper over board element, well, slipcase to put it in. So really, really happy to be involved in that. And I think the one thing I didn't mention earlier is that because we've come from a design background, we focus on things in a very different way. Everything's about what it looks like at the end. Like, do we need to change 0.5 mil here, 1/4 mil there, just to make it perfect? And I think because we've kind of made our own way along, we use a lot of different processes to a lot of other people do as well. And you'll see that with the slipcases. Ours, because we make them different to a lot of people, they've got the square edges on there, so they're super sharp. And I think it really complements the hard work that Pressision have put in, and Diamond, and the materials as well from Fedrigoni and from Foilco. The box itself is on a 3 mil board, so it's nice. Hopefully it's going to be substantial and it'll sit on your shelf for quite a while. And the paper, the Mitlin, really nice to work with. You used to have a book and box range, didn't you? And it was in that, and it's really good for gluing. It's really good for molding, so it's a really, really good material to work with. The actual process of it, we have to prepare the boards and the paper separately. You can see some of the die cut sheets up on the wall to have a look at later. And then it all comes together in our factory, and we've got a kind of, as Danny mentioned, a mixture of hand finished work and kind of semi-automation. And then kind of once that's finished, you've got the end unit as you see it here, and I hope everyone kind of really, really enjoys it. I suppose that's kind of it from me, really. I think there's just a plant list at the end, but it's a lot for someone to read through, isn't it? But yeah, it's really good to see everyone down here. If you've got any queries afterwards, myself and Marion will be here, and we'd love to chat to you. But that's showcase, really. We're the box specialist, and we make boxes. So thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Jack and Maz as well. We also went to, like Danny said, to your place in Camberley. So you say Camberley, and it was amazing. It was honestly like a kid in a candy shop. If you have any packaging needs, talk to them and see if you can go to see their space as well, because it was incredible. And you only showed a couple of examples of who you work with. We have some examples here today as well, so have a chat with them and see what they've got. And then we're going to have our PechaKucha speakers. It's very new for us. So for those who don't know, PechaKucha is 20 slides, 20-second each. So our speakers will be on a timer. They'll have to get all the information that they need in those seconds, and then move on to the next one.
So my name is Christian, and I'm usually not that funny. And so I'll be talking about 2 issues of Sleuth magazine, and the first one is the vernacular issue, and we use that cover because it combines vernacular architecture and something very, 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 very brutal, a riot. It's an AI image by, I'm showing the artist in a minute. Anyhow, our take on that, the vernacular, was that we combine vernacular typography, but with a twist, and that twist is a digital glitch. So the reader going through each of the spreads of the magazine will be surprised that the really clean typography is juxtaposed, so to speak, with some odd glitches here and there. They are designed, yes, but you could easily see that as a sort of fruit machine. You have 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 different versions of that particular spread, and we just picked one. And the point is that you want to disturb the reader, but you also want to draw in. And there's some really, really smaller, minor details which throws the reading flow. If it's too much, you just repeat the same thing, i.e., the name on the left-hand side. And that was a really, really good theme for us to work with, since some of the details you couldn't really see. So the author's name, Oleg, for instance, the K, there's so much going on, you cannot see it. For the purpose of this presentation, I enlarged that detail so that you can see how much is actually in there, so to speak. So you can see here that my favorite detail is on the right hand side. And this is literally 5 mil in the Mac. You wouldn't be able to see that. So my favorite detail is on the right, where the A is stretched. And that is also some sort of, I wouldn't say leitmotif, but that's some sort of theme which we picked up on. So if the Josh Hall, who designed this, created this image, as well as the cover image, the L has that glitch, and the glitch extends around the image, which is a nice, I don't know, almost accidental design. Anyhow, coming back to this issue, you can see there are some bigger glitches, smaller glitches, and that's the theme of the vernacular reinvented. The next issue is the autumn-winter issue, which has a completely different and opposite theme. So autumn winter. So this theme is the unlearning theme, and what we were trying to do is to surprise the reader by unlearning certain things. So we decided not to have page numbers, and the logo for the first page reads from right to left or anti-clockwise, and it's really surprising that hopefully really surprising that after the first page, you go straight into the first article. And the whole issue is organized by an index system, which is, so on the next page, when you turn, you have a large A, and it lists all the articles under A with a quote of one of these articles. Then you jump into the opener of the first article, but to orientate yourself, the first article is called A01, and then you have A02. And that's the opener reinterpreting, that's a great font to work with, Marbury, and it shows but it's a reference also to concrete poetry in the 60s, which is mentioned in the article. Anyhow, we were lucky enough in as such that the index system or the widget structure allowed us to, so anyhow, the contents is at the third, and my favorite detail is that the end matter, usually at the end of, obviously, of a magazine, is under E for end matter. So once we set that theme, we were surprised ourselves what the magazine actually looked like. So the rigid structure of having the F and 2 articles under F, so 4 things and flowcharts, that allowed us to calibrate the magazine in as such that the articles or the openers of the articles could be far more expressive, if you like. So the 4 things I have unlearned, the opener looked like that, and we Michaela and I, we played around with some really nice ligatures, which you see on the left-hand side. Whereas the second opener, as you will see in a minute, is based on flowcharts, and there is just a nice playful way to deal with that kind of material. But coming back to the rigid structure, you'll see that the next article, that's nearly the last slide, the next article starts with a P, and the article is called Practice or Praxis. And again, it starts with a quote, and that's what I meant with a rigid structure. You have that for every entry, you have that as an opener, that as an index system, and then you have P01, which is that opener, and it's a nice play with a monospaced font with the words practice and praxis. That's Iceland, and it's one of those art schools in dealing with the art schools and in Iceland. So at nearly the end of my talk, I definitely like to thank my assistant Michaela and as well as Fedrigoni. My name is Christian. All fonts by Colophon. The 3D lettering is by the very talented Alex Lopez, and our publishing editor is Carl England, who allows us to do that sort of stuff. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now we have Fran.
I can start. I save 14 seconds. My name is Fran Mendez. I am graphic designer and lecturer. I am part of Hondo, and you will see in a second. Now, Hondo is a multidisciplinary studio that we are based in London, between London and Mallorca. I founded with my colleague Maria, which now is probably watching online. So hi, Maria. So yes, thank you, Fedrigoni and TM Studio, for inviting me to talk in this event. What we do mainly is we like to play with letters. We do prints, we do augmented reality, a bit of editorial, but our focus mainly is branding. We also lecture in University of Greenwich. As you can see here on the left-hand side is a workshop that we did there, but we like to do also a workshop within the street. This is an overview of the last few projects that we did in the last maybe 2 or 3 years. A bit of everything, as I say, just to give you a summary, but I shared my website before, so just spend time there. I won't be talking much about this. So TM invited me because I was taking part of every single book from 2018 until now, which I'm lucky enough to be involved. This is me with 13 years old, and I think it's how everything started. My passion about letters, about composition, about color palette. I learned everything in the street. I didn't know what typography was, what letter was. I just painted obsessively, and I think it gave me a really nice background in terms of understanding letters. This is my first number. No, it wasn't a theme, it was just a number 12. So I decided to take the 12 faces of the moon and do a micro 12 faces, and then I create this effect with different number, different pattern, micro and macro. And I think it was cool. I had a lot of pressure because it was my first important things to take part. Next year we did this. We didn't do the number. We invite people we did a barbecue in a park, and we cut 12 paper and we put in a bag, and we were giving a random people and a few friends in the park. So everybody was creating a number, 24 people. The number was 24. 12 pieces in each number. So number like 2, 12, and number 4, 12. And then we select 2 of those, and that was a nice workshop, a collaborative day. We have a lot of fun. Even the guardian of the park took part of it, and it was like a nice way of creating something new and not being on the screen, right? So this was pre-COVID, and this is the number 24 that we select just to print. But as you could see, the more important was the process more than the final result. I think the final result maybe is not something like really, it's nice because in this year I was kind of upset with this constructing number and shapes and where can I go. I think every single designer took this or did that one day in their life, like geometric shapes and reducing and things like that. So that was experimentation, and just did something simple geometric from this experimentation. And this was the 15 that we select to bring in the book. Yes, it's more like creating kind of a language in a cell, because you can read 15, but it's like a new kind of alphabet or something like that. But yeah, So this was the year of COVID, and the work that we had was pool. We create, it's just what we print, but we did something more because everybody was at home kind of. So we did a website so everybody can pull from the digital space. So this number was variable and everybody can play. So the website is still alive, which you can see here. I think I can share if you want to play, you can still play. But that was like a bit of overview of what the website was. And also like we expand this project into posters. We did that in collaboration with Omar and Diego, that maybe they are online as well. I don't know. But yeah, hi, if you are there. But you can see, the final result is not the most important, it's the process, as well as this. This is, as you can see, as I said before, I paint a lot of graffiti in my life since I was really, really young. So that was the end result. But for me, the most important it's not this, it's the process. Again, different perspective. I was upset this year how you can see a number from different perspective, because you normally see a number from the front, and this is the symbol. But what I was thinking is, how can you imagine a number from, if you see from the back, or if you see from the side, or if you see from perspective? So that is the process of how I create this number that you saw before. And then you will see now also like we render so like different numbers, just to see, as I say, the experimentation. Every year normally I took this project as a way of experiment or something that I don't do in my daily job, like with client brief from clients, things like that you don't have this opportunity to experiment in terms of different techniques. So I challenged myself a bit. This year was the year of love. So we decided to, when someone break your heart, so we took the opposite. So when someone you have with, you can sense in Spain, we say you tape with, you try to fix it with tape. And we created this together 29s that you fix it, but it's not really well fixed, because, you always don't have a good time when someone, or you break a relation. And this year we did something like trying to do as many gaps as possible, because that was the year that you could experiment with so many color palettes. So we did that just to feel as much as we could with color, so to do something really colorful and powerful. And this is as I said, the end result. It was nice to see how you guys prepared this to be able to print in different composition, different color palette, different solutions. This on the left, actually on the right, the final one of the final result. On the left is experimentation that we did in the process. And this year, and maybe because I have a lot of experience, I did something really bold. And the concept was my work was merge, and the theme was opposite. So I tried to do something like mirror, that you create a symbol, an iconic, a face that you can expand. But it's nice because you can see in this exhibition from distance. So when you are in the way, because I don't know if I was yesterday here in the party, so normally it's very difficult to go and see your numbers. So now I can see, I pointed from the corner and you see this massive 29 everywhere. So I didn't need to move much. But as you can say, it's like variable, so you can expand. And the idea is like expand it as much as you can. And do a smile, not a smile face, but a face that you can see the two eyes and things like that. And that was my idea.
Thank you so much. And now we have James Webb. Use the next 15 seconds.
I was just going to keep silent because the next, if I run out something to say for the next slide, which was my introduction slide. How long have I got? Hi, I'm James Webb. I'm a designer at Webb&Webb. Our studio is based in the East End of London on Columbia Road, which is the home of London's world famous Sunday flower market. Although we don't work on Sundays, but you can still see our office there. Everybody in the office is a designer. And I thought I would show you some pictures of works on paper. So this is the first Fedrigoni calendar. We've been working a lot with a letterpress printer, and he printed a whole load of woodblock type for us for a Harry Potter Bloomsbury book project. So we had all this leftover type. So I think that's just where this one came from. This one is July the 10th. I think this is Winston Churchill's famous speech that the Battle of France is over and the Battle of Britain is about to begin. And the Battle of Britain, which was the first aerial mass battle, was on July the 10th. So that was our homage to that one. This one was the word, just a word and a number, 29. Yeah, we couldn't work out what to do for this one. We spent ages and ages, everybody in the office coming up with loads of different things. We couldn't think of anything. And then it was just a bit like we were floating around with our head in the clouds. So somebody came up with that one. This one's too clever for its own good. The brief said it was going to be printed in copper. We've done a lot of work for the Royal Mint, so we know that all old 2p pieces are actually worth 2.8p. So for December the 28th, we did a 2p piece, and then it was printed in silver. So never trust the brief. Again, this one, we wanted to do something typographic, and we've been drawing a lot in the office, doing lots of scribbles, lots of different word play. How many numbers and symbols things can we enter into a word before it becomes unreadable? And we've got a sign writer to write that one for us. Yeah, this is a sad face. It's a crying emoji. We're not in the calendar for this year, unfortunately. So that's what we would have got. But I am going to show you some stuff that we were doing that year on Fedrigoni paper in about 120 seconds, hopefully. Yeah. And this is 2025 into the future. When I was at college, I realized very quickly I couldn't illustrate. I wasn't an illustrator, but I could do typography. But I still really liked Saul Bass's illustration, which sort of cut out, simple style, very bold. And our words were light and appear. And I wanted to see how a piece of typography could appear from the light. So when we're doing calendar pages, it's much like when we're working on other projects, this one for the Royal Mail. The project starts with a brief or a title, which this one did, British science fiction books, and always has to have an outcome. Stamps, they're always a specific size, for about 5 different sizes. This was where we used the type from that letterpress printer from the first one in 2018. This is an adult set of books. We'd already done a children's set, lots of stars and child-friendly illustration. This one's much darker with the bold typography. They wanted to make her name much bigger. This one, when you have a calendar page, you have to put a number in it. And the same way, when we got the brief from Ian Fleming Publications to design a whole set of Ian Fleming's James Bond books, we thought, well, you own the most famous number in the world, 007. We thought, well, we'll just put that on the book cover and nothing else. They wanted some illustration in the end. We also worked with the same letterpress printer who printed all our wood type. We worked with him and a company called Queen Anne Press, and we produce limited edition books. This one's for Casino Royale, printed letterpress in London, then hand bound in, this one's bound in a casino baize cloth with gold on the front. This job took 15 years to come about. We designed lots of books for the Antique Collectors Club. You can get it from ACC. And they hadn't had a new logo for 50 years. So eventually we managed to convince them to change their name and let us redesign their identity. This one is for the Chelsea Physic Garden. They opened a cafe and they asked us to design the identity, but they also wanted something for the children's menu that would come with crayons. So we redrew the logo and to encourage children to draw on the menus. This is for the Garden Museum in London. It's Derek Jarman exhibition and exhibition catalogue. The exhibition designer that we did all the graphics for designed the exhibition so that you could walk across the shingle of Dungeness into Jarman's cottage. So we had the book printed and bound in a sort of black tar to match the cloth to match the book, that cottage rather. This one has a special place in my heart. It was written during lockdown by the chef George Rill at the Garden Museum Cafe. It's called A Year in the Kitchen. For a year he wasn't in the kitchen, and it was actually our first photo shoot after lockdown. And because he was very kind and cooked every dish extra during the photo shoot, it was probably our first meal after lockdown as well. This is a Fedrigoni job. Woo! Boutiques for the Maidstone Press. It's a reprint of a 1920s series of books based on shops, fairgrounds, and authors with these amazing stencil printed colour illustrations. It's printed on symbol tatami. So it was translated from the French, and we did a sort of facsimile style 1920s Parisian piece of typesetting on the right there, and then some more contemporary style book design to complement it. But I think we had about 5 different colour proofs for this one. He also kept back 30 copies of each book, which we had designed some leather book covers for. So each of these is an illustration from each of one of the books. And illustrating in leather is really quite complicated because there's only about 30 colours you can pick from, of which 8 are about a different shade of brown. So we've designed a complete. Sorry, wrong word. Well, I was going to say that the trick of any job that we do is to please the client, please the audience, and hopefully please ourselves. And the nice thing about working with Fedrigoni calendars is that we get to please ourselves. And because of the nice long-standing relationship we have with our clients, we get to be pleased very often. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jane. And now we have Kat. This little pause in the middle is actually really helpful.
Yeah, I don't have anything extra to say, so I am going to let that roll on to my next slide. Hi, I'm Kat. I'm a strategically minded senior designer, and really what I just love is branding. So I've worked at 3 agencies so far in my career, and I'm going to start by telling you something that I guess I've taken from each of them to build you a bit of a picture about what I value as a creative. So the first agency that I worked at as a junior designer was Multi-Adapter, and I think there I really learnt rigor. I love the creative director there. It's all about brand systems, guidelines, beautifully constructed case studies, and I really admired and absorbed how you could take everything from brand architecture, grids, and create these digitally first brands from a system of parts. At Saffron, I think I really learnt perspective. So I was growing up literally, but also as a designer. And I think it was about adding value beyond the pixels. So how that the idea is really only as strong as how you talk about it. And then we get to Pearlfisher, which is where I am today. So here I've got a bit more senior in my career, and I think I've finally learnt to lead a little bit more, both projects and people. It's an agency which has allowed me to find my own voice and really getting to work with everyone across the team, work with the clients more, and really develop myself in that. So a little bit more about Pearlfisher. We're an independent brand design agency, and we have 2 offices, both here and in New York. We have a really deep heritage in packaging work, and I think that's often what we're most known for. But our work spans all applications connected to brand design in general. So here are some of the projects that we've done in the last few years, really, some of the ones we're more famous for. We have some really big clients like Lucozade, McDonald's, brands that I think before we'd worked with them, everyone here would have heard of. But then we also have clients like Bioma, Seedlip, which I think we really helped to build a platform for. And then we get on to some of the work that we've launched this year that I've helped work on in the last few years. So first, Kotex came to us looking to provide menstrual education for young girls in South Africa. And the pack is the sub-brand that we created to allow them to do that. The physical kit that we created provides girls with the tools and the knowledge they need to cope with their first period, but we also created this pack of characters that you see in the top right, which help the girls navigate it in an emotional level too. And it was really balancing both the physical and the digital applications that we created with this brand. A much larger brand that we worked with over the last 18 months is Andrex, which I'm sure at one point you've all used to wipe your bottoms. They're one of the largest FMCG brands in the UK, but they have a huge global portfolio, and we really helped modernize and freshen up their identity to align with a new comms platform that they had, which was Get Comfortable. So we updated the color palette, the logo, but the thing we were all most excited about was the puppy. And yes, there was a photo shoot with these little guys. You'll have seen them a lot in the brand adverts, and I think he really comes to life there. But what we did was bring him to life on the packaging, making him less of a mascot and more something that you can incorporate to each and individual product. I'm still going on to my next one, which is the Last Supper. So Design Podge is a bit of a staple of the agency calendar. It's a lunch that happens every year and that people really want an invite to. But they're changing how they run events for a more diverse industry. And so we help them celebrate their very last event in the old format. And what that meant was we got to use a lot of AI to really celebrate the tension between old and new. We got some witty copy, which I don't think my creative director loved. which was 99 Problems, and they are all our directors. And we got to use a bespoke AI work stream to animate all of these individual faces from very famous people in the design agency worlds. So then we come on to 365. This is the first year I've taken part in this as an individual, although I've helped agencies in the past craft their submissions. So I'm going to eke out one design over 6 pages, so please bear with me. My word was light, and I was in the light book, so I really didn't feel like I had a whole ton to go off. So I wanted to try and find something in the story of the date, and I realized that the only thing that I knew that happened here was it was the date Trump got impeached, which is not a light subject matter. So I took that all aside and I thought, right, okay, we're going to have to do something simple here. So I started with what this might mean to a designer. And I think then you start with typography, light fonts typographically. There's such an immediacy there. So I really thought about thin lines and really the opposite of any impression of heaviness in what I was going to make. Then, because I knew heavy was my opposite, sorry. Heavy often is when you think about weight, something that ties you down, and there's something that is very difficult to move. So I was keen that light was moving, that it showed this element of dynamism and movement in the forms that you saw on the page. And then I really am egging this out to a third principle here, but less is more. I think when you're thinking about light, you're light on design and you're light on detail, and the cliche that less is more is the principle that set me up for the very minimalist composition that you're going to see in about 5 more seconds. By stripping it down to the bare essentials, hopefully what you see here, the composition feels very light, has that sense of thin lines and the sense of movement, and overall looks like it was light on conceptual detail that went into it. So you can see the lines there, they were placed on a very geometric grid that made sure that there was no crowding, no overlapping. And they're almost identical in form. You'll notice the 2 and the 4 shape. They are the same thing, flipped around and a small line detail added to make it actually read as 24. And I think that's all I've got to say. I'm hoping that this is the end of the presentation because, as I said, there is little to say about light. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kat. We now have Louisa, but you get an extra 20 seconds if you wanted to start chatting about yourself more.
I don't know if I need an extra 20 seconds. I'm Louisa. I'm from Common Exception. So we're a creative studio based in Southeast London. Our mission is to bring joy and bring people together. So I'm not a traditional designer. I've come to this quite late in life. And my background is actually in urban planning. And I did lots of consultation and behavior change. So we started off supporting other brands with their strategy before it became apparent that I couldn't hold myself in anymore. And we had our own message to share, which was we want to spark joy and get people having conversations and connecting with each other. I think after COVID, this really became apparent and I could just see it all the time. So our philosophy is really playful. We embrace the imperfect and we're designed to inspire the connection and curiosity as well. I think I am definitely a child of the 90s, which I think you'll see. So it looks a bit chaotic. We are bold and bright and colorful. And I design everything so it stands out. Because we do these workshops, I'm encouraging people to be at ease with their own work and creating imperfect pieces of art. Everything we do actually starts in collage. I'm really tactile and we like using our hands. So even any project will just start because I think it unlocks something in our brains using our hands first. Side of my own. Okay, and also it's fun. This was one of our favorite projects that we worked on this year. So this was in collaboration with the artist Coco Lom at the Now Gallery in Greenwich. It's searching for awe. So awe are those moments of joy that bring you to light, and they're often overlooked. So we took people on a walk around the Greenwich Peninsula looking for colours and patterns and things to inspire. And this was the second one in our Finding Awe series. with Coco again, but this time we were using sound and the music. And so we had a live DJ set and we asked people to respond to different music they were hearing. So it was drum and bass, classical music, and then we did a collage session. And I recently did a workshop with Ladies Wine and Design, where we were transforming negativity into creativity. So I also like to work a lot with words. So this was writing down all of our negative thoughts and then ripping them up. You'll see I'm quite inspired by our urban environment. And then we put some powerful words to remind us of how great we are. I was also in Secret 7, so I had less like my fire, find my fire. And this is all about I guess the fire and the passion that burns within us, and that blue is the hottest part of the fire. And then we've also got some work coming out in a book, but I was censored because it did say cut up the shit. So I also really feel like it's important that we create useful items. So I've created a range of tea towels. This one, they're all sort of inspired by things that I see. This one over here, the black and white one, is by Venice. And then I actually find water, because I grew up by the sea, comes into my work a lot. I love streets. I love posters. I love things that look a bit dirty that other people don't like. And you can see this in my work, like this caution. And the first slide, you might have seen some scribbles on yellow paper. That was really inspired by these caution things that I kept on walking past. Yeah, so posters, I love disintegrating posters, and it brings me a lot of joy. So this is my all finding. It's not everyone's taste, but I think it's about embracing the things that you love. And this is why I have lots of ripped up paper in my work as well. Yeah, so this was my first design for the 366. I started looking at the numbers, which I found really hard because most of my work is quite abstract. And I work with a particular color palette, so I went to that because it was quite easy. I don't think we had too long to design as well. So it was during school holidays. I didn't like it at all. And I was listening to Philip Glass at the time. I listened to music, lots of different music. So I asked myself, what would Philip Glass do? He would say, this is too messy. And I came up with a very different looking design. Again, I think a bit like I was just looking at that minimal, how I can make it more minimal. And then we came up with this design, which I liked much better, which was looking at the days in one column and the months. So it was the 31st of August. Yeah, and then I took that and I tried to translate it into the color palette that we were given. And I cut each piece out. I don't try to change my work much from the collage because I think that there's a lot of joy in the imperfection, but also I think cut marks and how we write is all a symbol of us and just like a fingerprint. So I really like those irregularities. And this is what I ended up with. I wish I thought more about the color combinations. So it was an interesting process for me to see all the different colors. I think when I was cutting it out, I put them closely to my own sort of colors that I was using and that I liked. But that was a really interesting process. And then this year, my seed word was disengaging. So I started using collage again, because that's what I naturally moved towards. And I was thinking about machines working together. I was quite interested in the cog and what actually happens with that. So I also gave myself a challenge because I have a lot of existing cutouts. So I decided that I would try to use what I already have. And so I was working, I did find this one easier too, because I was working in black and white. So I didn't have to think about a lot of colors. So that was quite nice for me as well. So I could give myself a little bit of a mental break. So I created a lot of different collages on the number, which was 15. Again, it's still a bit tricky for me because I don't often work in sort of numbers. And when I use words, I write them out myself. So I came up with a lot of different variations, all inspired by sort of machinery and thinking about that. And this is where I got to, which was thinking about if the number 15 decided that it was it was a sum of parts, and those parts all realized that they were individual, what would actually happen to it? And so it would start to disintegrate a little bit. So that's what I was thinking when I made that. Thank you very much, Fedrigoni, for having me. Thank you, Louisa.
And now we have Paul.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Paul Croxton, creative director and founder of Ascend Studio, based here in London. And fun fact, we've actually been featured in every edition of 365 since its inception, and I've been asked today to talk you through those designs on a bit of a whistle-stop tour. So for the past 18 years, we've helped ambitious founders and global leaders craft new visions for their businesses and their brands. 18 years seems a long time now. We help them define their true DNA and embrace novel ideas and help to create experiences that connect more meaningfully with our audiences. Figuring out what makes these businesses tick is always the most fascinating part of the process for us. And we've had the privilege of diving into worlds that we'd never really imagined, from biotech to mini golf, real estate to travel, and even recently, robots building houses. This diversity is what keeps it interesting and fresh for us. And you can see a few examples of our work up here today. But the creative stage is always the most exciting. And I believe it's where your intelligence meets your imagination. And it's where those opposites blend to create entirely new things. And I think that's the secret to great design, great agencies, and also probably why 365 is so well received. Strategic thinking paired with the freedom to explore. So much of our work is about achieving success for our clients. 365 provides an opportunity for us to learn and inspire together. Our first entry was in 2018, and I've always been intrigued by the intersection of art and design, and the golden ratio seemed a perfect inspiration for this piece. For February the 9th, it also conveniently looks quite a lot like number 9. So it's really a simple graphic representation demonstrating the logic between art and sort of suggesting a balance between structure and creativity. And I think it's a beautiful, elegant, timeless piece. 2019 gave us the 15th of September, which happens to be the birthday of Agatha Christie, the master of murder mystery storytelling, and often featuring unusual characters and unexpected twists. We wanted to create something that brought this sense of mystery too. So we designed an Art Deco inspired piece with a hidden image, which I'm sure you can see, a homage to Christie's method of storytelling, remembering there's always more than meets the eye. And if you look closely, you'll find R15 is fully loaded. Next, in a few seconds. In 2020, we hit upon so Tim Berners-Lee, the inventor of the internet, on the 11th of March 1989. Vague but exciting, he called it. But it was obviously visionary and ambitious, as I'm sure many of the 365 entries are, of course. So we went for two forward slashes, forming a number 11, kind of. But it's also the start of URL. And just as Berners-Lee's proposal was suggestive of future transformation, here we also hint at something which is transformative and the beginnings of new discoveries. On to 22 and into space. The Perseverance Mars landing on the 18th of February 21 gave us the first ever tire tracks on the Martian surface, which we just kind of thought looked really cool, and I'm a proper sci-fi buff, so I thought this was a good one to take forwards. So yes, you probably guessed it, an 18 made of Martian rover tire tracks, and it's not the easiest challenge, as we can imagine, with those particular number 4 numerals there, but I think it works nicely, and it also marks the first ever Martian themed number design in 365. Probably I've entirely made that up. 23 introduced the theme of love, and our date, the 23rd of August, happened to be the release date for She Loves You, Yeah, Yeah, Yeah by the Beatles. And this song became a rallying cry for youth culture at the time, marking a tone of freedom and playfulness. So we crafted some years into the number 23, which was a lot of fun. And I love the freedom of this piece. I think it just really kind of looks like it's sort of enjoying itself. I remember telling our designer, Laura, who worked on this at the time, that it was her best ever piece of work, which was a joke, but I'm not sure she took it as a compliment, to be honest. You watching, Laura, I'm sorry. Next in 24, 365 went a bit off-piste with the generative design, which we've heard a bit about already today. And we became really interested in this and how algorithms can produce art by setting boundaries, but allowing that randomness to exist within those limits. We created a layered mosaic-like design, which I think suggests movement and transformation. And the patterns and randomization, their blocks of color, I think attempting to sort of capture the principles of generative design itself. Final design this year is about opposites. We were given the word tight and the date of 11th of March, and we got really inspired by this Houdini picture on the left there. And we wondered, how can we make something which feels physically very tight, playing with kerning and the positioning of the numbers. So in the final design here, 2 ones, but this little one here sort of cramped and hemmed in into the corner there by its dominant counterpart. And I think it's simple, it's bold, it's intriguing, and we love our designs to be that way. So that brings us to the end of our 365 journey. But what's next? I'll leave you with a thought. There may be only 365 days in a year, but I believe our creativity is limitless. And I look forward to seeing where we push the boundaries next. Thank you.
I thought you were going to say that there are 60 seconds in a minute, and then I had to create, like, I don't know how many minutes there are, seconds there are in a year, and then I'd have to create like a ginormous book or something. But glad it didn't go that way. Kevin is joining us online, and I believe I need to stop the presentation to. No. Oh no, I don't. No, never mind.
We can run
Kevin,
it from
go
there.
for it.
Hello, I'm Kevin Lan. I'm a creative director at Design Bridge and Partners. I started my career, well, I went to Norwich School of Art and Design, and I'm showing you what was regarded at the time as the Bible to us when we did our course, A Smile in the Mind. If you've never read it, read it. It was designed by the partners who somehow I managed to get a job at, which shows I don't know how I managed to do that. An amazing place to work and learn my craft. They had a dead client in the courtyard, which I always found quite amusing. But yeah, just an utter amazing place. One piece of work that I did whilst there was made in Britain. This logo I see absolutely everywhere. It's on loads of rubbish bins in the Midlands. It's on the back of Vauxhall vans. I mean, you will literally see it everywhere now. It's kind of crazy. So our first entry was in 2018. We were invited to do this as a company, and we were very thankful for that. We got given the 11th of November, which is obviously a really, really poignant day, I should say, being the armistice and what have you. And so we as a team, we worked together and we came up with loads of ideas. I've just put a few on the page here because I thought it was kind of intriguing just to see our process and what we were thinking of. But obviously, there's lots of symbols and things that we could use within that, whether or not they're messages or whether or not stories. We actually took the idea of doing not a lot at all, and it was quite interesting that an 11 looked like a little pause sign, and we used that as the notion that we wanted to convey. So pausing to remember, so not doing a lot on the page, which was quite sweet, I thought. 2019, 2020, the partners ended up merging with Brand Union, Lambinan, VBAT and Addison Group to make Super Union. It was a busy time and there was a lot going on. And so in 2019 and 2020, we didn't actually end up doing anything. But we came back in 2021 and there was a lot of buzz in the studio around this, lots of people doing it. And so I kind of thought, okay, well, why don't I dip my hand back into it? I think oh, hang on a minute, I have to wait. Yes, I was given the seed word less and the number 16 at the time, and I thought it was kind of interesting to think, well, how about I do the least amount of work that I can do and obviously achieve a number 16 as a result. And so it was purely done with some very, very simple lines. In 2022, we let me see what this one is. I can't remember. I was given. Oh, it has to move on. Sorry, I'm just gonna ad-lib blah blah.
National Scrabble Day.
That was it. I was given April the 13th, and I thought it was quite interesting. I kind of looked it up on Google and found that it was actually National Scrabble Day. And I thought to myself, well, last time I did something really, really simple. Why don't I do something a little bit more complicated here? So I thought it would be quite interesting if I actually designed a Scrabble board. So and laid out the tiles to write out International Scrabble Day, which I thought was quite sweet. Took a lot of time. I got very geeky into the detail of it. Kind of really enjoyed doing a much more elaborate piece. 2023, the Love edition. There's my name in the in there. I was really fortunate. I got my birthday for this one, which I thought was kind of interesting in itself. So 25th of November. So I thought to myself, what do I do then? Well, I thought what I could do is who do I love in my family? It was obviously my mum. And so this is a picture of me with my bowl haircut on my first birthday. The 25 is actually made of bits of hearts. So that was a nice simple one for me there. 2024, the multicolour book. This one was super crazy. And obviously we had the challenge of doing lots of different colours. Again, I did the same kind of thing. Oh, I have to wait for my number to come up. The 5th of August. And I thought to myself, okay, what happened on the 5th of August? I found out it was actually National Underwear Day. And I thought, oh, that's kind of interesting. And again, I kind of thought to myself, well, I quite like to do a little bit more of an interesting design piece that was a bit more risque, let's say. And so I drew some pants. And I put the number 5 into that, and I embellished it with obviously all the colours that we could use. And hopefully everyone got lots of different multicoloured pants in that design. Nice, fun one to do. And then, so obviously this year, the black and white book, quite an interesting one for me here. I wanted to go a little bit more complicated. As you can see, it kind of got into it more and more as we kind of went through each year. And this year I was given, if it flicks on, the light book and the 22nd of February. I found out that, and it's really comical, if you do a search for 22nd of February, you actually get this news article from a really old BBC website that is still online. Dolly the sheep was cloned. I used a bit of AI to generate this sheep and then cloned it all over the page. So that is mine.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That is, how do I, there you go. I thought, oh no, we started all over again. Oh. We'll keep it at that one then. I thought, well, first of all, thank you to all our speakers, especially I think the PechaKucha actually worked quite nicely. I think it was a little bit stressful, but you guys all got all your information in, so amazing. Thank you so much. We didn't even do a test run, so the fact that it went quite smoothly, I'm quite impressed. I wanted to take the time to see if anybody online or here wanted to ask any of the print partners or any of the designers any questions, then we can have a bit of a Q&A sesh if anybody had questions at all. Anybody? You want to know? No? nothing, then we could all just, for the people at home, thank you so much for joining us. And for the people that are here in person in London, have a little walk around and see the exhibition. As Danny said earlier, you can lift the sheets to see what the opposing words were, or you can go on the other side of the board. And thank you so much for taking your time to come here today, this afternoon. We really appreciate it. And if you want to give us any feedback at the end, that would be great. Thank you so much.